Ingersoll's lecture on Which Way. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Ingersoll's lecture on Which Way, from the collection Lectures of Colonel Robert Greene Ingersoll. Ladies and gentlemen, for thousands of years men have been asking the questions: how shall we civilize the world? How shall we protect life, liberty, property, and reputations? How shall we do away with crime and poverty? How clothe and feed and educate and civilize mankind? These are the questions that are asked by thoughtful men and thoughtful women. The question with them is not, what will we do in some other world? Time enough to ask that when we get there. The business we will attend to now is, how are we to civilize the world? What priest shall I ask? What sacred volume shall I search? What oracle can I consult? At what shrine must I bow to find out what is to be done? Each church has a different answer. Each has a different recipe for the salvation of the people, but not while they are in this world. All that is to be done in this world is to get ready for the next. In the first place, I am met by the theological world. Have I the right to inquire? They say, certainly, it is your duty to inquire. Each church has a recipe for the salvation of this world, but not while you are in this world. Afterward. They treat time as a kind of pier, a kind of wharf running out into the great ocean of eternity. And they treat us all as though we were waiting there, sitting on our trunks for the gospel ship. I want to know what to do here. Have I the right to inquire? Yes. If I have the right to inquire, then I have the right to investigate. If I have the right to investigate, I have the right to accept. If I have the right to accept, I have the right to reject. And what religion have I the right to reject? That which does not conform with my reason, with my standard of truth, and my standard of common sense. Millions of men have been endeavoring to govern this world by means of the supernatural. Thousands and thousands of churches exist. Thousands of cathedrals and temples have been built. Millions of men have been engaged to preach this gospel. And what has been the result in this world? Will one church have any sympathy with another? Does the religion of one country have any respect for that of another? Or does not each religion claim to be the only one? And does not the priest of every religion, with infinite impudence, consign the disciples of all others to eternal fire? Why is it the churches have failed to civilize this world? Why is it that the Christian countries are no better than any other countries? Why is it that Christian men are no better than any other men? Why is it that ministers, as a class, are no better than doctors or lawyers or merchants or mechanics or locomotive engineers? And a locomotive engineer is 1,000 times more useful. Give me a good engineer and a bad preacher to go through this world with, rather than a bad engineer and a good preacher. And there is this curious fact about the believers in the supernatural. The priests of one church have no confidence in the miracles and wonders told by the priests of the other churches. Maybe they know each other. A Christian missionary will tell the Hindu of the miracles in the Bible. The Hindu smiles. The Hindu tells the Christian missionary of the miracles of his sacred books, and the missionary looks upon him with pity and contempt. No priest takes the word of another. I heard once a little story that illustrates this point. A gentleman in a little party was telling of a most wonderful occurrence, and when he had finished everybody said, "Is it possible? Why, did you ever hear anything like that?" All united in a kind of wondering chorus, except one man. He said nothing. He was perfectly still and unmoved. And one who had been greatly astonished by the story said to him, "Did you hear that story?" "Yes." "Well, you don't appear to be excited." Well, no, he said. I am a liar myself. There is another trouble with the supernatural. It has no honesty. It is consumed by egotism. It does not think, it knows. Consequently, it has no patience with the honest doubter. And how has the church treated the honest doubter? He has been answered by force, by authority, by popes, by cardinals and bishops and councils, and, above all, by mobs. In that way the honest doubter has been answered. There is this difference between the minister, the church, the clergy, and the men who believe in this world. I might as well state the question. I may go further than you. The real question is this: are we to be governed by a supernatural being, or are we to govern ourselves? That is the question. Is God the source of power, or does all authority spring, in governing, from the consent of the governed? That is the question. In other words, is the universe a monarchy, a despotism, or a democracy? I take the democratic side, not in a political sense. The question is whether this world should be governed by God or by man. And when I say God, I mean the being that these gentlemen have treated and enthroned upon the ignorance of mankind. Now let us admit, for the sake of argument, that the Bible is true. Let us admit, for the sake of argument, that God once governed this world. Not that he did, but let us admit it, and I intend to speak of no God but our God, because we all insist that of all the gods ours is the best, and if he is not good we need not trouble ourselves about the others. Let them take care of themselves. Now the first question is whether this world shall be governed by God or man. Admitting that the being spoken of in the Bible is God, he governed this world once. There was a theocracy at the start. That was the first government of the world. Now, how do you judge of a man? The best test of a man is how does he use power? That is the supreme test of manhood. How does he treat those within his control? The greater the man, the grander the man, the more careful he is in the use of power, the tenderer he is, the nearer just, the greater, the more merciful, the grander, the more charitable. Tell me how a man treats his wife or his children, his poor debtors, his servants, and I will tell you what manner of a man he be. That, I say, is the supreme test, and we know tonight how a good and great man treats his inferiors. We know that. And a man endeavoring to raise his fellow men higher in the scale of civilization, what will that man appeal to? Will he appeal to the lowest or to the highest that is in man? Let us be honest. Will he appeal to prejudice, the fortress, the armor, the sword and shield of ignorance? Will he appeal to credulity, the ring in the nose by which priests lead stupidity? Will he appeal to the cowardly man? Will he play upon his fears, fear the capital stock of imposture, the lever and fulcrum of hypocrisy? Will he appeal to the selfishness and all the slimy serpents that crawl in the den of savagery? Or will he appeal to reason, the torch of the mind? Will he appeal to justice? Will he appeal to charity, which is justice in blossom? Will he appeal to liberty and love? These are the questions. What will he do? What did our God do? Let us see. The first thing we know of him is in the Garden of Eden. How did he endeavor to make his children great and strong and good and free? Did he say anything to Adam and Eve about the sacred relation of marriage? Did he say anything to them about loving children? Did he say anything to them about learning anything under heaven? Did he say one word about intellectual liberty? Did he say one word about reason or about justice? Did he make the slightest effort to improve them? All that he did in the world was to give them one poor, little, miserable, barren command: "Thou shalt not eat of a certain fruit." That's all that amounted to anything. And when they sinned, did this great God take them in the arms of his love and endeavor to reform them? No. He simply put on